Hey there, it's Peter, and today on Kalindi Gaming we're carrying on with our Hidden Gems series, looking at 5 games we love and think should be played by more people. See anything you like? Be sure to let us know down in the comments.
I'm gonna have myself a real good time. I feel alive.
Our number 5 is out in early access, and while parts of it look like something from 2 generations ago, dear goodness, it's such a blast to play. We picked it up on a whim for no other reason than seeing the characters reminded us of playing GoldenEye way back when. That was a time when 4-player co-op on a tiny TV was the very top of home entertainment. In fairness, GoldenEye may well have had better graphics as maximum action. It's also brilliantly low quality and clearly something of an ongoing concern with bugs aplenty, but that doesn't matter one little bit. On a fun per penny spent ratio, for our mind it's one of the most satisfying shooters of the year. We'd be looking as far back as Titanfall 2 for something offering similar levels of enjoyment. While low res, it's full of character, with the levels, all be they minimal to the extreme, give way to some exceptional running, gunning and kicking gameplay, be this shooting a goon in the face with a shotgun or stamping on the knee of another, all before charging headlong through a window looking to give the next bit of good news to the other blocky folks who should do really well to get out of your way. With between 1 and 2 years left in early access, maximum action is something most definitely to watch.
Just give me a call.
At number 4, Florence takes a rare look into the theme of love in what's best described as being an interactive novel without text or dialogue, while all using pretty but understated illustrations. It's played by way of small interactive tasks you must complete to move to the next section. These are generally reasonably easy, although we didn't find them boring or mundane. Interwoven with the love aspect, you have another tale exploring gender roles in which Florence holds back on her creative talents to support the man to whom she's romantically involved. Florence came out way back in the first quarter of the year, and if you fancy something clever, sweet and different, this one's definitely worth taking a look at. The Hex at number 3, out on PC this October. Well, it's one of those games that's hard to discuss without giving away too much, so we'll tread very carefully. Coming from the same creator as Pony Island, it ever so smartly puts a number of genres into a mixing bowl from which we then get a story looking to mirror how we consume and interact with video games. The Hex is about 6 protagonists from 6 different games who've gathered together one stormy night in a pub deep in the woods. The Hex is played out in 6 chapters, each focusing on the characters one by one, with a murder mystery storyline tying everything together. While moving slowly to begin with, the Hex builds tension as things get going, and come the end after 8 or so hours of play, the individual stories merge into something we feel is worth getting into. As again we said at the start, this one's difficult to explain without going into too much spoilery detail. However, we will say it's also very, very meta. If you liked Papers, Please, Not Tonight or the Stanley Parable, The Hex is one for you. Number 2, Akane is, as should be reasonably obvious, a top-down arcade arena slasher with full-on blaring cyberpunk visuals and huge amounts of gore. You and your enemies die with a single hit, although you have enough tools at your disposal to have the upper edge. You have a sword and gun, and you can alternate between the two, so while your shooter recharges, you can set about hacking and slashing the multitude on screen to a bloody pulp. If you string together enough kills, you can charge your special attacks or even your super special attack to do, naturally enough, even more damage. The pixel art, well, quite frankly, it's utterly gorgeous, and the soundtrack and effects, well, they're fully in keeping with the on-screen action. The controls are also beautifully tight, although the lack of controller support when we played this was annoying, but not a deal breaker. Yes, it doesn't have too much to offer really in the way of content if you want to get into it, and replayability is somewhat minimal, although look at the price, it's under $5. It really does offer fans of the slasher type of game some real value for money. We loved it. We hope you do too. The last hidden gem of 2018, and therefore the number one for December, Galaxy Champions TV hit the PC in early September. One of the consistent elements to our gaming habits over the years comes from us leaning towards twin-stick shooters. In all honesty, they probably get a little more than their fair share of coverage. Hey, one of them came in the runners-up place in our Game of the Year rundown last year. Smash TV, of course, remains one of our favourite games of all time, and Galaxy Champions TV handsomely borrows from it, while also adding enough to make it more than a cut-and-paste copy. The most noticeable variation coming by way of character levelling and upgrade weapon mechanics. Galaxy Champions, let's be honest, is an utterly brutal experience, but man, it is fun. It plays so fast and frantic. We found the two-player co-op mode to be so high on the chaos meter, there's a period of adjustment where your hand-to-eye coordination needs to step up a notch to make sense of the on-screen antics. The default screen shake is also, for our taste, way too blurry, and once you dial it down in the settings, the faint sense of nausea duly passes. With 15 different varieties of enemies and 3 bosses, there's plenty to keep twin-stick fans happy, and while the whole TV aspect of the game is lost on us, there's little sense in the way of playing for an audience. Galaxy Champions is another go-to game of its type. So, see anything here you might like to play? Let us know down in the comments, and be sure to hit that like button, and if you haven't already, subscribing is really simple. Just hit the subs button and the notification bell to stay up to date with our 3 to 4 weekly videos. We really appreciate you watching and look forward to seeing you here back soon at Get Indie Gaming for more videos.